As a football agent, it takes time for you to make an income when you're just starting. So I'm just going to be giving you some strategy that you can use to start making or earning some income immediately when you start after you gotten your license. So the first idea is, as an agent, one part before after you've passed your license, you have also a mentorship already there because you have been going through learning the process of passing the exam. So you have an idea of what to do, how the industry function a little bit when it comes to the exam side. So this is one of the processes you can use to start generating income. You can start looking at players' footage, parents, because parents have no idea of what the level their player is, what club suits them, and how is the idea for them to become professional. So if you're a football person and you have just gotten your license, you can start by analyzing and helping parents on this. So you can find a coaching service that you can help parents 60 minutes a day, and that's 60 minutes coaching parents on what decision to make so that their sons or daughters can have a better career. So in that services, it can include things like, hey, you analyze their video. If this video is very good, is good to send to a club. You try to structure, also have a plan for them. Tell them that, hey, these are the characteristics. These are the things that you look in a good agent. These are the things that are red flags in a bad agent. All these little things, you can have that package that you give them for an hour on hour, so that parents have an idea of what to do when they spot a good agent or a bad agent. And also it helps parents a lot that way, because a lot of players don't make it in the industry because maybe their parents actually are not football people, which is quite normal. Probably their parent might be working in finance, and they happen to have a son who plays football, and the son is like, hey, I wish to play. And then the next thing is they take the son now to a football club. What a football club actually does is, if you are not careful, they just train you, and of course you're going to pay for the services there. They train you, and I mean you pay for their services. Let's take for example £5,000 uh, is the registration fee to play in that football club. And you go there, they give you their gears, you just train, come back, you train, come back, but you don't actually have someone who mentors you. So what you should be doing is, you can have a plan, a 6-month plan to mentor that player, put him in the right direction. This will go a long way because it gives a clear plan and an idea for how the player can carry on his journey. So that's the first way you can use to generate an income as a beginner agent. The second way, or the next way, is if you can be a scouting report as an agent, that should be great. That will also help you in learning how the industry functions. So what do I mean by scouting report? So let's take, for example, not every academy have good scouting reports. So if you can have an idea of building scouting reports, let's take, for example, top 10 African players who are under 16, and sending to clubs, or maybe sending to people who wants to buy those services. That can be a good way, because now agents, let's take for example, I'm trying to hire a scout back in Africa. So let's take for example, if I had an idea of the top 10 scouts, I mean the top 10 African players, let's take for example, or let's say 10 top young under 15 players who play in Nigeria, Cameroon, Ghana, Senegal, whatever country it may be, and that I'm guaranteed that those are the top 10 players in that country. Of course, I'm going to try to pay for that services because I'll need those kind of players in my agency. So as an agent, you also need to you need to be creative to start generating income before the big income comes. You understand what I mean? So that's another good way that you can do. You need to pick one strategy and stick to it. If it is not a strategy, you can stick to this strategy if you are good at this. Another one is basic but very effective. Help players get opportunities. So a lot of players don't know how to create CV, and parents also don't know how to do this. So they just try to put, maybe they go online and type what is CV, and then what is it? Then they see a CV which meant also for studies. They just try to write everything there. But probably a football CV has its own weight, and so you as a football agent, if you can create a football CV with a little bit of highlight videos, 5 minute maximum, and then with links of the players' full matches, recent matches. That's how it consists. Let's say, for example, 2 or 3 recent matches that the player has played. That is a good one that you can use to always send to clubs. So you can always create that for players, and then you get income from that. So as I said, you also need to be creative. If you like, if this is the model you want to use, you can go with this one as well. So the fourth one is recruitment. If you can help small clubs get recruitment or get players into their clubs, they will help you for that. So another one is if you're scouting players, then you go on to say, hey, you want to take this player to another club and then bring them for based on commission. It can help. So if you bring many players like based on commission, that is quite actually common. As long as you are recruiting recruiting good players, they can say, okay, you get certain commission or get certain amount of finance or whatsoever it may be that you might agree. That's also a good way to think. So if you get players there, that's nice. That's also effective. Now the last one is most effective and probably is the one you can quickly use because you have just been studying the FIFA agent exam. So there are a lot of agents in the industry who don't have an idea of how people who want to become FIFA licensed agent. If you have an idea of how the exam works, you can also give your knowledge to the person who doesn't know. That's the best way because you have passed the exam. And then under there also, if you have also ideas of teaching how networking works, how recruitment works, all those basic things, those then you create a mentorship program under it that can be very effective because you're a FIFA licensed agent. So if you can learn if you know how networking works, you can start earning from that. Actually, I teach agents actually how to pass the exam, and I also teach networking to people on LinkedIn, and I also teach recruitment. But my background came also because I studied sport management. But apart from that, I went around a lot interviewing CEOs, sporting directors of football clubs. So I have a background in actually talking to those people and asking them very useful questions that can help other agents. So any of these things, you can pick one to start making after making income from this after you have gained your license. This will help so that before the players you're starting to manage become transfer as success, you don't need to struggle with income. You just need to be creative also then to adapt to certain situations. But I, for one, I have a business. Just to go, I, for one, have a business. I coach people, but because I have a football background, I coach players already long ago before being an agent. So it's that one was already working. So that was the one who helped me actually a lot when I was traveling around, when I used to travel around. So I get always income coming from there. Then now that there are players in my agency, it also helps. But at the beginning, you need to be creative to start because if you need to find, I always feel you need to find a way to leave your job that you're doing, because I think most people want to become licensed agent, they get the license actually, but also it's challenging to leave their old jobs because they are not because no one hasn't taught them this, that you need to be creative. So let's take for example, to be creative is like you need to find what is that maximum salary and what is the minimum salary that you can live. I mean that you can sustain yourself for a month and that you can pay your bills and adapt to everything without going out of the house or without working under someone that your job or your wages are tied to someone's time. So for example, I'm talking about a 95. If you can make that particular income on being creative, then you're free to do your business. That's when your business is going to kick on. So let's take, for example, if I said my own wage was 2K, you understand what I mean? 2K, 2,000 euros. So what I was doing is I was coaching because coaching is based on my program. My timetable. I was coaching individual young players with a specific need to improve their ball control, to do certain things, which I'm paid for that. Those when that makes me not to work under someone, then it allows me that freedom that I can travel to other countries to build my network. That is very important that you have that freedom to move around. So for someone like other people coming into the industry, if you want to do networking, teaching people about network, you can do that. So that it just depends on what way or what thing you feel you're confident that you know that you can start teaching people. So I hope this video helps or brings value to you because this is very important for you as a beginner agent, because when you start, except you start already with an agency who is already big, that they bring you in and you're working and you're being paid. Yeah, but apart from that, if you're trying to grow something, you also need to be creative. Okay, so I hope this video helps you, and if there's any question, drop a link. Drop it below in the comment section. I'm Dr. Brian, FIFA licensed agent. I'm living in Finland. I also do help agents teach them about networking, build and then teach them about networking. Sorry, and then also we have a community on Skool that if you want to join networking, learn how networking works, how you can contact sporting directors, how you can become a top agent. Let's take for example how to network with the people with sporting directors that they can respond to you. Then you can come join us. The link also is below. So that's it for this video, and see you in the next one. Bye for now. Cheers.